Good day, good day. Welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Jay, and this is Homeschool Your Kids podcast. Today we have with us Chandra. Chandra, introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Chandra Roten. I'm the current founder of Luminous Minds. I've just been involved with education and supporting both parents and teachers for over 24 years. And with just the incredible growth of homeschool nationally, we've launched this amazing website that just supports parents through personalized learning and helping teach their children how to read. Thanks for having me on
Nice.
today.
Of course, and I said your name with such confidence. Chandra, okay.
Andrew, yes, no problem. It's a hard one.
No worries. So you are focused on literacy and resources in general.
Yes, yes.
Nice. What brought you here? What made you decide that was something? And mind you, I know it is definitely something to focus on, but what made you say, okay, this is what we need to do?
Yeah, I have been just so passionate about education and teaching children since I myself, many moons ago, was in high school. And I had a full career in education, which started out, I'm going on 24 years, beginning as a classroom teacher. Predominantly, I worked in underserved communities, working at Title I low-income schools, teaching in the primary grades. And just early on, I understood the power and importance of literacy and teaching reading effectively when it matters the most in the early years. And as I continued to just, teach for many years and grow professionally, I became very passionate about being an advocate for parents and helping them kind of navigate the nuances of the crazy public school system. And then I continued to just grow, as a lifelong learner, grow professionally. And I moved up into administrative positions. I served as a teacher, an academic coach, a principal. And then I just continued to really dive into the research about teaching reading, about working with different types of learners, the brain science on how children learn through, multisensory learning. Like, how can we make teaching in general more fun, more engaging? And a lot of that is using different modalities. So multisensory learning, making learning fun, teaching through play, through games, through songs. And so then I just really got into curriculum and development, the science of reading. There's such a wave going on right now with parents and education, and that research has been out since the year 2000. So early on, I was really fascinated by it. And just, as things developed, I said, we have to do more. We owe our children, our future, this job of improving literacy and reading nationally. We still have this literacy crisis. So many of our children can't read. And so with that, I had just decided, I want to do something. I want to create a platform, a website that puts these great resources out there. And, they don't just need to be available to the public education system, to districts and schools. These need to be available for parents, because no one is as important as a parent in a child's life. A parent is a child's first, best, and most important teacher. So that became just the evolution of Luminous Minds. And, fast forward, here we are. We're this educational website and early learning platform that's giving parents just credible resources, content, and tools to support their personalized learning plans at home, and just really help teach their children how to read and give them really fun, engaging videos, resources, printables that they can do that with at home.
Yes, ma'am. You've said a mouthful. So 24
Sorry, get on my
years.
soapbox sometimes.
No, I mean, it's a journey.
Yeah,
24 years. 24
yeah,
years in the education system in general,
yes,
in
yeah,
different facets, like here. And literacy has been prevalent all 24.
yes, yes.
Yeah. I've had a couple other guests up here talking about the literacy national crisis. So I know it is and plus my time in the classroom also, I saw it firsthand. It is a big issue.
It is. It
It,
is. And it's I mean, there's so many sides to it. One is that we for many years. I'm happy we're kind of making the shift now. We have a lot of work to do, and a lot of great people are committed and want to do the work to just
Yes.
ensure that every child has the fundamental right to read. But we just were not teaching it correctly for so many years in our public school
Mm,
systems. And then, we weren't training our teachers either. So it's just, it's a systemic problem. Teachers were trying their best, but they weren't given the tools, they weren't given the training. They didn't know how to effectively teach reading. And now with all the research coming out, the most current research, I was fact checking myself here, wanted to make sure for your podcast I had it right for our families. 5 to 10% of children will have a reading challenge or, dyslexia. Uh,
mm,
Sometimes some research is saying 10 to 15% of our children will have some sort of reading challenge, because naturally the human brain learns how to do many things, but we do not naturally learn how to read or write. So we have to explicitly be taught this skill. So, it's a lot on our classroom teachers and for all of our courageous parents out there making the choice to homeschool their children. That's a lot for a parent too, especially if you
yeah.
don't have, a background in teaching reading or yeah,
Indeed. My major in college was English, with emphasis in teaching, but I still did not learn how to teach kids how to read. That wasn't anything like, a part of that program. And my first year in, I had a young lady who was reading on the kindergarten level in seventh grade.
yeah, yeah,
So it was like, okay, what do I do? Like, you know,
yeah,
like you
you
said, the
know,
teachers aren't being equipped with the necessary tools to like navigate those type of situations.
yeah. And how, sad that is that the student was kind of pushed through the system and then comes to
Yes.
you still reading at a kindergarten level. What systems should have been in place to support that student. So,
Indeed. That's the thing. That's the systemic issue, because it's like, how did she make it to me? But then, I got to 12th grade and I had 12th graders reading on like a third grade level. And I'm like, well, dad, how did you make it to the end? Like.
yeah, yeah,
So literacy is a major, major issue, but I'm glad that you're recognizing the important role that parents play, and parents needing to understand that, they do play a very important role in it all. Like this beyond literacy, just the development of a whole child in general. Parents are very, very important. And I feel like sometimes we try to dismiss parents, once kids get into public school, it's like a dismissal of parents, like their job is done. Like, oh, they're 5 now, we got it. But you don't. Like, the study shows that you don't, and the
absolutely,
partnership has to be emphasized, because it definitely takes a village, to raise our children in a sound way. So,
absolutely, absolutely. And I feel that's why there's so much power in the opportunities in homeschool. And as homeschool grows, just this ability to really personalize learning for your child and choose the curriculum and the resources, the content, the tools that are going to work best specifically for your child. I find it fascinating. They talk the difference about boys and girls, especially in the early years, like kindergarten, first grade. And boys are more, energetic. It's more challenging for them to be focused in a classroom environment. Boys boys in homeschool outperform boys in public school by a margin of 44% with reading. Yes,
that's
I know.
huge.
I always share this statistic when I speak, because that's almost half, almost 50%, close to it, of boys.
And is it because of them being like their lessons, or their learning being personalized?
I think that's a huge part of it. I think it's more of the, like the one-on-one
Yes.
attention, or if it's just me and like 2 or 3 brothers and sisters, it's a smaller group. So I can, give my children in their homeschool environment more one-on-one attention, and I can personalize the learning based on their behavior, based on their learning style, based on their learning needs. And I can move
Yes.
at a pace, I can move at a pace that makes sense for them. So if I'm teaching my kindergarten daughter letter sounds and she's struggling, I can take a few days on that. But in public school, and again, no fault, there's some to our teachers and to our principals,
Yes.
amazing educators out there. But, when you're teaching in a classroom, you've got this district adopted curriculum, and day one, you have to teach lesson one, and the next day you got
Pacing
to teach
guides.
lesson two.
Yes.
Yeah. And so it just leaves so many students behind. And when we're talking about literacy and reading, the human brain takes 5 to 7 times to learn a skill. And we find with children learning how to read, sometimes it can take them up to 19 times. And I say that's like 19 at bats to learn a skill, so if I'm learning how to put sounds together to read words like at, cat, I might have to practice that kind of decoding or putting those sounds together 19 times. And just with the pace, of public education and public school,
It
so many of
doesn't
the children don't
allow.
get those at bats. They just don't get that repeated practice.
Yeah, and I mean, it wasn't until my own child was in kindergarten that I learned that there wasn't two teachers in all of kindergarten classes anymore. And I was so shocked and appalled. Like, wait a minute.
Yeah,
I feel like that's definitely, if nothing else, kindergarten and probably even first and second need two teachers. Those are, you're teaching kids. That's just I always put in perspective, like think about a child being free to do whatever they want to do all day, every day. And then they turn 5 and then they're being asked to sit down for 7 hours out their day.
right.
Like just to sit down, the prime of the day too, like all of the day, like, and it's just like how do you manage that? And especially as one teacher and then trying to incorporate lessons and it's a lot. It's a lot. And like you said, I would never take away from teachers. I know teachers are pouring their hearts out. I've never met a teacher that isn't, well, I won't say that. I have met some teachers who are coasting. Okay.
Yeah.
However, majority of teachers, they are entering that field because we know it's not for pay.
Yeah.
They're entering in for passion because that's something they've been always wanted to do. Like you said, from your time in high school, you knew you wanted to be in the education field. It's a passion that we follow, but then we get in that system and we're like, Dad, this ain't how we thought it was going to be. Like, this is nothing like I thought it was going to be.
Yeah,
So
so true.
try
Yeah.
to adapt and try to change and try to do your best, but it's a lot. It's a lot, especially when they're not meeting you on the grade level that they're supposed to be on.
So
Like,
true. You said that so beautifully. And I think there's always been challenges, but coming out of the pandemic, I think there's just so much that teachers deal with now across all levels, right? Because it was just, there was such an impact on our world with the pandemic, children being home for a year or two, parents being home, they kind of lost a lot of learning. So our learning gaps are more prevalent than ever. But then
mind you, the learning gaps were already there because I
they
always tell
were.
people like they were already there. Don't think that the shutdown was the reason for, okay? It just
Absolutely.
widened, okay? But it was definitely already there.
Absolutely, they were. Yes. And then this loss of social emotional support, which is so
Yes.
critical. So teachers are dealing with a lot of, like you said, I mean, academic gaps were already there, behavioral issues were already there, already challenging to be a teacher. But now there's just seems to be even more challenges with behavior. Teacher burnout is a big thing right now.
Indeed.
Yeah, we
But
got
I
a
feel
lot of
like
work
that
to do as a society.
yeah, and that's why I love that you're emphasizing parents though, because that's the same, like that's the purpose of my organization too. I just want to remind parents of just how important they are in their children's educational journey. Like
Yeah,
no matter the setting, you are your children's first teacher. They are watching you regardless. The way you're modeling, even if you come home, like they come home talking about a teacher, and you're like, I don't like her either. Like, it's like that's a thing. So Like these schools need to be building these relationships and partnerships. I feel like partnerships should be like a word that, across the board, teachers, schools should be striving for as far as households go. Like, this is a partnership. We're together. This is a community. We're in this together. Let's figure this out and make sure that we're providing them with the best tools and resources that will get them to where they need to be. But then again, it's hard for you to, stay on top of things when you have 25 plus students in the classroom. You have 30. I've heard some crazy numbers of students in some of these teachers' classrooms. And it's like, what do you do with that? You can't individualize that. I even think about the IEPs that, we were asked to honor. And it's
Yeah.
like, how? How do you want us to do this?
Yeah, so challenging. Yeah.
Yes, so
And
it's a
agree.
lot. It's a lot, but Luminous Minds, focusing in on the parents and providing these resources. So what are some of the resources that you all have available?
Yeah, so on the learning platform, we have two sides, kind of the hands-on printable, anything from worksheets, learning mats, reading games, activities that parents can easily print out to just do work with students at home. It's all supplemental, so it's meant to go with any of the parents' chosen main ELA curriculum. And then we've been called the Netflix of education, the Khan Academy of early literacy. We have a full videos page, a whole
Wow.
library of close to 300 instructional video lessons that teach, phonics, sight words, phonemic awareness, build fluency, teach handwriting, all these early literacy skills. And they're accessible on demand, so parents can just, watch and play 24/7. We have game-based animated videos, and then we have lots of videos. I do some of the videos for the company where it's real live credentialed teachers and just teaching content, and we incorporate just puppets and singing and graphics and animations to really make learning how it should be. Learning should be fun. Learning how to read is
Fun.
exciting. We focus on young children ages 3 to 8 with our platform. And yeah, it's just like instilling that confidence in reading, but then bringing back the joy of learning, the joy of getting smarter, the joy of learning how to read and all that reading unlocks, all the wonders of the
Yes.
world. So
Yeah, reading is so important. It really is. So this is a membership that parents, or is it like a subscription? How are they accessing these?
yeah, so we're subscription based. So we're a public website. Anyone can go on and get a subscription. We have a monthly option. We have a 6-month option and an annual option. And we are an award-winning approved vendor with so many homeschool charters. So parents that are enrolled in a homeschool charter that have stipends, they can use those to get subscriptions for our website. And just we're connected with quite a few states for the ESA accounts as well. So parents that are qualifying for scholarships and state homeschool funding, they can find us on all the various platforms, My Scholar Shop, Odyssey, all these popular ones too. So
Nice, nice. I know I would like to venture around some of them. There's a lot available, but parents have to be aware of them. So that's why I love what you're providing, because, it takes a lot to do all the research that's required sometimes to find the right platform or curriculum or lessons or anything. So it's like y'all are kind of doing the hard work for them already.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, because it's a lot. I mean, parents making that shift or that choice to homeschool, they for many of them, they're, choosing to give up their career and stay home. Some are able to do both, which is amazing, but they're making that choice. And, there's, like you said, I think it can be really overwhelming. Parents that I talk to,
Yes.
there's, what do I do? There's so many choices and resources and curriculum. How do I know what's, credible and vetted and research-based and aligned to what students should be learning in school? So we have checked all those boxes to really give parents just credible tools. We have an amazing team, both parents and teachers and administrators that work on the platform and the curriculum to make it easy to use. We have free tutorials too for parents and educators on the website. So like videos parents can watch for how could I use this at home and how could I work with my child. So just trying to help parents build that capacity and, know they're supported in this big decision that they've made to homeschool their babies.
Yes, yes, yes. And like you said, a lot of the things that y'all provide are supplemental. So this is
Yeah,
also for families that have kids in traditional schools that are looking for something, boosters basically, to make sure that your child is getting everything they need.
absolutely. Yeah. Tutoring is expensive, not to mention the transportation and coordinating schedules. So we support many families where students are in a more traditional, setting or in public school. Parents can access those supplemental resources, whether it's, my child's struggling with reading. Hey, let's watch some game-based reading lessons to help you learn how to decode and put sounds together to read words. Let's print out some activities to help you learn your sight words. It's all there on a platform for parents, really easy to access, and teachers too. We are working nationally with districts and schools as well for reading intervention to support primary classroom teachers too with these supplemental resources. Because just as we were talking about earlier, teachers have this main district adopted curriculum and they're going through the pace they're required to go through, and they need supplemental resources to help students that need extra, need more time, need more practice.
Yes.
So
Yes. So you have websites like the Teacher Pay Teachers, things like that. But hands-on is very important. Like, actually getting something in their hands as far as the learning goes and making it fun. Like, how important is fun in learning? That's a lot of people have to understand. We got to incorporate the fun, especially at home. If you're not in the public school, like, there's no reason why we shouldn't be having fun while we're doing this learning game.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. So is ELA your main focus? Do y'all plan on incorporating other subjects, or is that just you like, no, we need to do this? Like,
Yeah, no, we get asked that question a lot. I mean, I think for us, our main focus is literacy and giving parents and educators the right resources, content, and tools in the early years when it matters the most to just set that foundation. And we're just so passionate about reading, about helping children learn how to read, making sure that they, start their trajectory strong. That's our commitment, and that's our focus, and we'll stay in that lane and just keep improving and getting better and better with giving parents
nah,
and educators tools for literacy.
it's a good lane to be in. Like, believe me,
It's
that
needed. It's needed.
very much so. I don't see those numbers like decreasing. Like, the more conversation I have, it's just like a lot of emphasis are being put on literacy. And I was talking to my aunt the other day. She's been a teacher for probably like over 30 years. And she said she has like 8 more years to go before she can retire. And she's teaching sixth grade right now. And that's what we were talking about. These kids can't read. She's in Georgia. And I was just like, yeah, Auntie, I know. I know.
Yeah,
And it's like a lot of parents aren't even aware that their kids are so far behind. And that's why I'm like, these conversations aren't being had. And their parents are just like, pushing them out the door and saying, hey, go to school, and just expecting them to be where they're supposed to be.
yeah, yeah. We I do a lot of work in California and work with schools in the Bay Area. Oakland Unified is one of our districts in the Bay Area that has some more challenging communities, and incredible educators and principals out there just doing the work, working the 12 hours.
Hmm.
Some of the lowest literacy and reading achievement scores in the public school system out of all the districts in our state. So we do a lot of work there. It
Is it
only
because of ESL, like the English second language, like
Yeah,
the
well, yeah, I think it's a combination of kind of all the things that we talked about, but exactly to your point, we have so many newcomers coming.
Mhm.
And we have students coming in, they're smart, they're coming in fourth, fifth grade, but they don't speak any English. And so a lot of the public school systems don't have these supports. What do I do when I have a fifth grader that's, just coming here to America and they're in my class? I don't have a curriculum to help, teach them how to read. So we're doing a lot of work in that space as well, where we're trying to really help and support English language learners access the English language and learn how to read. And still working with teachers to still honor, their home language and their native language. But let's get these kids caught up, because there's no way a fifth grader can access fifth grade level text in a classroom when, they haven't learned their letter sounds. So learning how to read it's like, I always say, it's like building a house, right? Like you need that concrete slab, you need that foundation. Which
Yes,
is where, all these like phonics and explicit systemic instruction come in that are so important in the early years.
And what do you think about as far as the phonics versus sight words? Because I know I spoke with someone recently and they said it was like a study that they did when they started incorporating sight words into, like, as far as public school goes, and just focusing on sight words as opposed to phonetics. And then now they're trying to reverse and go back to the phonetics. It didn't work.
Yeah.
It didn't work. Obviously.
It's so funny how in education, everything just kind of goes around in circles and comes back. So the science of reading, which is, this data that came out in 2000, so we've had it for 24 years. It was research that was done in multiple languages across many countries for 10 plus years. And they studied the human brain. How do we learn how to read, and how do children learn how to read? And they identified these 5 essential components that were necessary to teach young children how to read. And so that's what kind of this, wave, there's a Science of Reading podcast, and this amazing group of parents out of New York kind of had an uproar. We're not teaching our students how to read correctly in public schools. We're not teaching phonics, explicit systemic instruction. And they were absolutely right. So phonics absolutely, should be taught in the early years. So it's teaching the letter sounds, the letter sound combinations, C and H together, make ch, teaching those patterns, like long E can be spelled E, or Y at the end, like happy, like explicitly we have to teach all these rules. And, it's challenging, it's hard, it's really hard for children. But I think there's a little bit of a misconception in sight words. So when we talk about sight words, the science of reading actually promotes teaching sight words as well, but it promotes it in a way that we should be teaching children when a sight word is decodable, when we can sound out that sight word because it follows the phonics rules. We should be teaching our children to use the rules to sound out those words. But for all the sight words that don't follow the rules, because there's so many, so you take the word the, T-H-E. If I were to use phonics, I would say yeah. As I would read that word, right? I mean, that's so confusing. So here's a kindergartner learning their letter sounds, but one of the first 10 sight words they're going to learn is the. So what the science of reading has said is we have to teach our children some words don't follow the rules. So we have to memorize these words by heart. And that's where this, sight words are now also called heart words. So we have to memorize some of these words by heart. Or, I say the old school way we used to teach it, you memorize this word by sight. So it's a combination of phonics and also introducing these sight words or heart words. And that's really the robust how we're teaching children how to read in the early years, because they come across, sight words are the words that they're going to most commonly come across in reading beginning books and in early reading instruction. So we always joke when I go out and speak and I say, here are the 5 essential components identified by the science of reading. And we like to say it's 5 plus 1. Don't forget about those sight words. We got to teach those too, but we can use the phonetic skills when teaching. Like we have a sight word, it follows the rules. I can sound that one out, but I can't sound out words like the and was, which tend to be the most challenging for young children because they don't follow the rules.
But even it though, because I know I have a 7-year-old, and so we're still like, big into the reading. And I feel like it was just 2 days ago, she was like, but I is just so confusing, because it's like, it's I, but it's it. And it's like, so it's like I don't know. I'm following you with the sight words, so and
Yeah.
understanding like, because of those words that don't follow the phonetic rules, then you do need to teach them memorization because that's what I've been doing anyways. Like, honey, like yeah, let's just remember that this is this. Like. Um, but it's a challenge because it's so confusing to these little people and it
Yeah.
frustrates them.
Because learning how to read is so hard. It's one of the
Yes.
skills the human brain learns. But she's absolutely correct because I all the vowels make two sounds, a short sound and a long sound. So I
Yes.
short sound is it, I's long sound is I. And I love that
Mhm.
you brought up that example because it's such a reality for so many students because I by itself, as I say, is the tall, skinny man with the
Yes.
shoes, says I, makes its long sound. So if a child is reading it, I mean, that's not phonetically correct, right? We just have to teach them. I is a vowel and all the vowels make two sounds, a short sound and a long sound. But yeah, this is where the reading instruction is challenging.
Oh, indeed. It has been a journey, honey. It's been a
I'm
journey. Like I could tell you, because we've been at it for as long as we've been homeschooling. We're going into our fourth year. And I first when we first started learning, it was met with tears. Like I would put a book in front of her and she would just bust out crying. And I was, don't worry about it. We don't have to do this today. Okay, let's do something else. Um, but especially with her seeing the growth of, I have a 10-year-old also, and seeing her growth and her development through this process has been like, it's very rewarding to see her working through long words and challenging words. I'm just like, oh my gosh, you got that. And like, it's very fulfilling. And her little sister is seeing that also. So now her love and her understanding of, okay, I really need to get this under hand because like reading's fun. They've started incorporating the graphic novels, got me spending all my money on graphic novels now. Um, right? you know, but always stress that you have to be able to read. Like if you don't do nothing else, like we'll figure out everything else. But the reading is so fundamental because it requires everything. You go out, you have to be able to read the street signs. You have to be able to read the signs in general, like the store signs. Even though for whatever reason, our kids memorize store signs or logos over anything else. Like they can pinpoint a logo out of anywhere. Um, but it's just like reading, you have to be able to read love. Like,
Yeah,
like,
amen.
like I
You know
say, you
what?
don't want to have to be able to depend on, you have to depend on people if you don't know how to read.
Yeah. Yeah, I love what you just said about logos because you know what that is. It's exposure and it's that idea of repeated practice. I see
Mm,
it all the time. So my brain is going to recognize that it's associating that symbol with those
with
words
that.
and essentially learning how to read. Like the alphabet letters are symbols, and we learn the
Mm,
sound associated with those symbols. And so just the more practice we can get. And for some children, they just need, I say they need more at bats, and that's
of
okay.
course. Yes.
That's
Yes. Oh yeah. We've been taking it slow. And I know when we
great.
first started, we made like little letter people, like on
Love
popsicle
it.
sticks and made them like, and then I just hold it up and we'll talk about the sound and, practice the sound. And we did that for the longest before we actually moved back to, because like I said, I used to just put books in front of her, just like, not even like on a okay, read this now type of deal. Just like, hey, let's sit down and read. And it was just so overwhelming to her to see those words that I just like, okay, let's not do that.
Pull it
Let's
back.
just do these, yeah, let's just do these sounds. Let's when it says, but now with her and still working through things phonetically, she has all the sounds. It's just putting it all together and she'll sound it out and I'm like, okay, now put it together and she does for the most part. It's just a work in progress, and the more she does it, the more comfortable she'll be with it, of course. And so I'm an avid reader. I love reading. That's been since I was probably like 4 years old. I've been my girls, not so much. Okay. They like to create things. They like to like crafts, like that's their things, like doing crafts and cooking and other things like science. They love science, but reading just to pick up, like they're not at the level of just picking up a book on their own. I'm still like encouraging or telling them sit down and read something, like, but we go to the library quite often, and we always like, hey, you go pick your books, I'm gonna pick my books, and the other one picks her books, and then we all sit and take turns reading to each other.
Love it.
So that's a thing, but
Yeah, great job, Mom. I mean, you're doing so many things
and
right.
I'm trying, honey. I'm
Yeah.
trying.
Well, one, that you just have the love for reading, and so you're sharing that love. And I share with parents all the time when they say, how can I help my child read? I said, you're the role model. They're very observant,
Showing.
especially what you said with siblings, right? Older siblings are huge too. So if mom's picking up a book and sister's picking up a book, I want to pick up a book because I want to
Yeah.
do what I see. So even just all, like you said, going to the library together, how wonderful. What a great family activity. You pick your books, I pick my books, and let's just all sit down and share and let's read a little bit. Great. And then just
Yes.
like you were sharing about graphic novels, it's like, find what your child's passionate about. I
I
was
know,
just talking
honey.
to a mom yesterday, and she's having trouble with her son reading. And I said, what does he love? Dinosaurs. You go find books about
Find some
dinosaurs.
dinosaurs. Yeah.
Make
That's
that real
right.
world connection. Let them read about things they're interested in so that they can understand that reading just kind of unlocks the wonders of the
So
world.
much, so much. I know I'm trying to get my 10-year-old to read more, chapter books without
Mhm.
pictures, but
Mhm.
them graphic novels got her. She's even started writing, like doing her own little comic strips and everything like that. So I just, try to support where I can. But like I said, things get pricey. I go to the thrift store. I go
Yeah,
to
they
the
are.
thrift stores. Fine. But I forgot the young lady who she wants to collect all her books, but it's like Smile Sisters, Guts. I can't remember who it is, but she's in love with her books right now, and I'm just like, okay, well, can you just like fit in, because we have all these other books too, and it's like, read this. Little big. I love writing and seeing the book boxes,
Yeah.
where you can get the free books, and you
Yeah.
put yours in and
Put
take
yours in.
some
Yeah. I
out.
was just
Yes,
the book exchange. I love those. Yeah.
love those. Yes. But the modeling is really a big deal. I definitely make sure they see me reading. I make sure they see me with the books. I feel like it's gonna hit eventually. I don't know when, maybe
It
it'll be
will.
13, 14 or something, but I'm like, it's gonna hit, and they're gonna sit down on their own, and I'm just gonna probably bust out into tears like, oh, we made it. But
Well,
until then,
when you're
go sit down
sharing
and read a
about
book.
them being so hands-on, right? Like they love, you said, to cook, and they're very creative.
Yes,
And so
yes,
that's, what we were talking about earlier, is that's the power of multisensory learning. It's so much of public education is this textbook worksheet. And
yes,
that's boring to a lot of children and
very.
not how they learn. So this one of our most popular resources, and we get feedback from parents and teachers. I mean, across the board, we have these learning, you can filter by learning mats. And there are these hands-on learning mats you can print to build words. So kiddos turn over a picture card, and then they can build this word to practice like consonant blends, practice long vowels, practice art control. And the students love it. It's very hands-on, turn over a card, they can build a word with letter tiles, or parents can laminate those mats. They can use a whiteboard pen.
Nice.
So it's like using different tactile, tangible things. It's just a different way to
Indeed.
access the learning and makes it more
Yes. Yes, because I speak on, like, once kids get to a certain point, it's like you see that the love for learning has been drained out of them. And that's what I really dislike about public school, is because I feel like, because of like you said, the textbook worksheet method, they associate with, that's how learning, that's the only way learning looks. And so then it's like, oh, let's learn something today. And they're like, I don't want to do that. Why do I want to learn? But it's like, okay, but we can make it fun. Let's do something fun. But by the time they reach middle and high school, it's like the fun it's been drained. And they're like, this isn't fun. Like, learning isn't fun. They don't associate the two. Like, those two words don't go together for them. And that's what makes me sad about public school.
I'm with you 100%. I think back, if we as adults think back to what do we remember? What moments do we remember about school, right? And I think for a lot of us, like we remember, the field day where we all went outside and we got to, play carnival games, or we got to go down a water slide, or just some monumental experience, right? We remember field trips, like being their experiences. But we also remember, like, I remember my high school teacher when he came to history, and he was dressed up as, a character from the war.
Oh,
And he
nice.
talked in the language, and he taught us, like, this general. I remember that, right? Because it was multisensory. I remember my third grade teacher did center stations in the classroom. And I remember that she always had a station where we would practice our spelling words with alphabet beads, and we'd put them on these little, they weren't pipe cleaners, but whatever tools she had back then, that was a long time ago. But I remember that. It was hands-on, it was fun. So just as you said, we take out, it's so sad that we take out this joy of learning, and there's ways to
Yes.
do it in middle school and high school too. And we still can prepare our students for college by delivering and teaching all the standards and skills in fun and engaging ways. It doesn't always have to be this, as we said, textbook worksheet. Because
Oh,
then I'm just a
yeah.
student showing up, and we say, okay, we're going to learn about ionic bonds today. Open your books to chapter 10. And it's
Right.
I roll,
Yeah. But that's what, like you say, your memories. I remember elementary being so fun. Like
Yeah.
elementary school was like the funnest. And that's when I decided that I wanted to be a teacher in elementary school. I was like, oh, I'm gonna be a teacher when I grow up. Like, this is awesome. I remember Miss Crawford, like she was the most amazing teacher. She will always be in my stories. But then I got to middle school. So wait a minute, this isn't fun. Where did the fun go? Like, they want me to do all this work and they don't care about what I'm interested in. They don't care about my writing or my reading. I was a big avid writer when I was in elementary school.
Yeah.
Wasn't writing in middle school. Nope, didn't have time for that. And then by
Mhm.
eighth grade, it was just like, oh my gosh, teachers can be mean. Like, they get mean. It got real for me. And so by high school, I had checked out. I tell people all the time, like, even though I declared I wanted to be a teacher in elementary, by high school, I was sleeping. I was sleeping through everything. I did my work and I went to sleep. I did not want to be there. I was just passing time. I was on the basketball team, so that helped me to, I guess, want to come to school. But for the most part, I had checked out by high school. And so with me going into secondary education, that was my thing. Like, oh, I'm gonna make this fun. Like, this gonna be fun. We're not gonna be drained out and all this stuff. So I did try my best to, work with the curriculum and the pacing guides that were provided and make sure that the activities that we did were something that was engaging and hands-on. Or like, I remember doing crime scene, like investigations, putting all this stuff, and like we did, like, different things. And it was very fun for the most part, for me at least. Like, I didn't reach everybody. Okay. I'm not gonna pretend like everybody was in my class. Like, oh yes, Miss Carter. But for the most part, I've had great feedback. I do still talk to a lot of my former students, and they always stroke my ego quite well. So I know I was doing something well, and that's what I want to recapture. I want, parents to understand, like, when you're taking your children out of public school, you're not trying to do what they're doing, okay? Because I saw what they were doing, and it's not fulfilling for a child. It's not going to foster that lifelong learning that we want them to have. And that's my biggest thing. My girls are so excited about learning, and sometimes I fall off. I will, because of all the things that I'm doing with the organization, and I don't be as structured as they would like me to be, that I see now. But they love learning. I asked them about math problems yesterday, and they were like, yeah, math. They're like, oh my God, I do not like math, okay? But I wouldn't, like, like, discourage them from doing it, especially if they want to. But it's just like, they love learning. And so that is my fulfillment, when their joy that they still have with certain things really, really helps me.
Yeah. Oh, well, thank you for sharing that story. I think it's It's so powerful, and it's so good for parents to hear, to just know that they made the right decision and it's all going to work out. And, homeschool doesn't have, it's not structured like public school.
No.
That's a good thing. That's a good
Yes.
thing because you
Yes.
can make it really work for your family, for your children. Again, just really find those things that they're passionate and interested about, like your daughters
Indeed.
love math. Great, go for it.
I know,
Go do
right?
that math, get it.
You go, girl.
Yeah.
Meantime, I'm gonna use the calculator over here. We ain't gonna talk about it. But yes, I don't just fostering a love of learning is really important to me. I feel like if we can get them to really enjoy, like taking in knowledge and understanding their growth that they're responsible for,
Mhm.
I feel like we got it. I definitely feel
Yeah,
like we
because
got
at
it.
that level, the more joy and love that they have for learning, that's when they're going to take their own initiative to continue to learn. They'll start
Yeah.
to take ownership of their learning. They'll develop that growth mindset, more confidence. And those are the life skills we want our children to take, into college and beyond.
Indeed, indeed. And with Luminous Minds, where you're fulfilling and making sure that parents are well equipped with all they need to ensure healthy, strong readers. It's important. And I appreciate all that you're doing. And thank you for taking those 24 years and saying, you know what? This is what we're gonna do.
Yeah, exactly.
This is what we're gonna do because there's a need. This is gonna be an everlasting need. Especially I saw a post the other day. It's like these kids aren't gonna be able to do nothing in the future but dance, what they say, dance, post product reviews and something else. It was like a third thing, I think like eat or something like that. But it was just like, no, they're not. They're gonna be
Oh,
great, okay?
yes, they are.
And they're going to be great because I know that people are doing the work to ensure that our future is better. Our future matters. It's a big deal. It's a
It
big
is.
deal.
It is. Thank you. Thank you so much for just having me on and
Of
letting me share my
course.
story, and really
Of
enjoyed our talks
course.
this morning.
Where do we find Luminous Minds?
Yeah, so luminousmindsinc.com is our website. And I can certainly send you all of our social channels. We got some really fun social media channels. We have a great YouTube
Nice.
channel. Kids really love it. And we can maybe I can just get a code if any of your listeners want to try it for free. We'll do a free
Nice.
trial so they can just explore it, see if it works for them and their family.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I can just send that to you after the podcast, and maybe we can add it to the details. So
Of
if anyone
course.
listening is curious and they want to go out to the website again and just try our stuff out, we'll do like a 20-day free trial that parents explore to see if it works with the great things they're doing at home.
I appreciate that. And I know the listeners will appreciate that also. What's three things before I let you go? Three things that you would like parents to really consider incorporating into their maybe reading lessons. Yeah.
Yeah, three things. Great question. I think I really want to emphasize to parents that you are your child's first, most important, and best teacher. And just as students in a classroom have good and bad days, there's good and bad days with homeschooling.
Yeah.
And it can be so hard as a parent, as you shared, to see your child, cry, frustrated, not wanting to do something. When it comes to teaching reading, it's all about laying the foundation. So if parents just think about building that house, so where we would start is alphabet knowledge, letter recognition, just learning how to identify and name the letters of the alphabet. This is A, capital A looks like this, lowercase a looks like this. This is B. So that can be done with alphabet magnets on a refrigerator. So many, ways to help with that. We have great stuff on the website. And then the second step would be phonics. So starting to teach those letter sounds. Again, we have resources to help with that. But second point would be, go at the pace that works for your child. If they need more time, it's okay, especially in the early years. Take that time, If we're working on, this is the letter S, and S makes the continuous sound. Add a body movement to it. Think of something that starts with S. Let's pretend we're a swimming snake. Let's make the sound for S as we swim like a snake. So, attach a movement to it when you're teaching letter sounds. And just I think parents get so worried when their children aren't getting it. And so it's okay to be patient and take time, especially when we're talking about reading.
Yeah.
And the third thing I'm going to say is just, make it fun, think out of the box. So many parents already do that, with homeschool. As you said, Jay, so beautifully, homeschool doesn't look like the classroom of public education. And, that's okay. So make learning fun. Think of teaching reading, incorporate games. We have resources on our website to help parents with that. We have even lots of free stuff on the website too, but just make it fun, incorporate games. Teaching sight words, for example, important to teach those beginning sight words. They don't follow the rules. They're hard for kids to learn. We have a whole series of songs, like teach songs. So a song you can just sing. You can, sing it while you're making dinner. Let's sing our sight word song. It's going to help us learn the sight word when, and we'll learn how to read, write, recognize, and spell the sight word through singing. So there's so many great ways to access learning, especially when it comes to reading. So
thank you so much.
Hang in there, parents. You're doing everything right. You just keep at it.
Yes. And remember that they want to learn. Like, your little ones want to learn. They really do. They're enjoying picking up on the things also. Just continue to make it fun. Like she's emphasized many times over. Like, fun is important. Before you go, I'll share my great nephew. I was at my nephew's house the other day, and my great nephew, his son, he's 3. And when I tell you he talks to me the whole time we were over there, I said, "Oh, he's really paying attention in class, girl." He had me repeating after him. So he was like, "Okay, we're gonna do the alphabet song." Like, now we're gonna do the alphabet song. And we did the alphabet song. He said, "Okay, now we're gonna spell our names. So repeat after me." Like, I'm just like, oh, he is really paying attention in class. If he didn't just spell his name, he spelled Megan's name, he spelled Noah's name. I'm like, oh, he is really paying attention. And I love to see it, because that just lets me know just how much he's enjoying his time, or even just taking in all that the teacher is dishing out. And I don't know the teacher, but kudos to her, because you're doing a great job. Because when I tell you, I had a whole lesson for about an hour. I was there.
I love it.
Yeah. So know that these kids want to learn. They want to. They love it. Just don't drain it out of them. Don't let anybody else drain it out of them. Pour into them, affirm them, have them affirm themselves, and no comparing and contrasting. Remember, your child is an individual and they're on their own pace. Those milestones are suggestive. Okay, they're not set in stone. So please just follow your child and keep on growing them. But reach out to the resources, check out what's available to you. A lot of the hard work has already been done for you, so take advantage of that. But keep going and keep understanding that you got this. You got this. You are the first and most qualified teacher your child will ever have. So keep it up. Homeschool your kids.